In this lesson, we're going to learn to use numbers in scientific notation in our calculations. For this class for exams, you will need a basic scientific calculator. Graphing calculators are not permitted on exams. I would strongly encourage you as you're working problems, whether it's in class or on homework, that you practice them using the basic scientific calculator so that when it comes time for the exam, you're familiar with its functions. Every calculator operates a little bit differently in the way you put in values, especially for scientific notation. If you don't have one and you're getting a calculator, I recommend the first one here, the TI-30X2S. Basic model has all the features you need, very easy to use. But if you have another model and you need help using it, by all means, please ask. Happy to help you figure out how to do something on that particular model. When entering numbers in scientific notation on your calculator, you want to make sure you do it the correct way so that when you do calculations, it's doing the calculation you want it to do. So notice that I've got the TI-30X2S model here, and that's the description I'm going to give. It's going to vary a little bit based on your calculator model. There's a couple of things you can do. One, you can ask for help, obviously, with if your calculator model is different. Or you can also go online and search for things like the model number of your calculator and scientific notation, and it should give you the instructions. I'll also provide a link to another video I have that's just using the TI-30X2S calculator with scientific notation. It goes into it in more detail. So if I want to enter the number 4 times 10 to the 6, then I'm going to type in the number 4. And then I need the EE button, which is right here where the red arrow is indicating. And notice it's in the blue above the key. So I need to hit the second button, which is up here at the top left, and then hit the button where the EE is. And then I'll enter the number 6. Note that that EE means times 10 to the. So we don't have to put the 10 in there. We're just putting the 4 and the 6. So EE replaces all of this. And you'll see different things on the display. It might show 4 and this O6 to the right, or 4 and O6 where it's superscripted as an exponent. Sometimes you'll see an EO6. All of those mean the same thing. It's just how the manufacturer chooses to display it on the screen. Now, if I want to enter a number that has a negative exponent, I'm going to enter the 2.5, then second EE, and then either the plus minus button or the negative button on the calculator, and then 4. Again, that plus minus button will be labeled different things on different models. And then what I'll see happening is I'll have 2.5 minus 04, 2.5 with this, oops, that should be exponent, so superscripted there, 10 to the minus 4, or minus 04. Different ways, all mean the same thing. But it's really important that you learn how to use it correctly on your calculator so that the calculator knows that the number and the times 10 to the exponent all belong together, that they're the same value. They're not separate numbers. Let's look at an example of addition and subtraction with scientific notation. Now, if you have your calculator, great. You can plug these numbers in and put them in scientific notation in your calculator. It'll add everything up. Make sure you put them in correctly. But I also want to show you how you would do this kind of by hand. And the first thing we'd have to do is either get these two numbers with the same exponent or with no exponent. So putting them in standard notation. And that's typically what I do, is put them in standard notation if I'm going to add these by hand. The first thing I'm going to do is get this into standard notation. So I'm going to move over 2 decimal places. And this one I'm going to move over 3 decimal places. Note that because both exponents are negative, that means the numbers are less than 1. Now I'm going to rewrite those numbers because I'm adding them up, making sure I align my decimal places because I have different numbers of leading zeros there. Then I can add the numbers together and then rewrite my answer in scientific notation. So I need to go 2 decimal places over. So I have 4.51 times 10 to the minus 2. What is the sum of 2.8 times 10 to the minus 5 plus 8.1 times 10 to the minus 4? And the answer is 8.38 times 10 to the minus 4. If you plug that into your calculator and use scientific notation, great. If you were looking at it manually, then we're going to convert this into standard notation. So we get 4 zeros, so 0.000028. We look at our second value, we get that into standard notation, and we get 0.00081. We add those together, and then we move our decimal place over 4 places. It's less than 1, so our exponent's going to be negative, and we get 8.38 times 10 to the minus 4. Now looking at multiplication, okay, same thing in the calculator. Enter it and find your answer. That's fine. We're going to go through the math of it just to make sure everybody's on the same page on how you manipulate numbers in scientific notation in multiplication. So the first thing we do is we take the 4.2 times the 3.1 and we get 13.02. Then we actually add the exponents. So we get minus 2 plus a negative 3. So we get negative 5. And that would give us 13.02 times 10 to the minus 5. But something looks a little weird about this number. What is that? So we only want one non-zero digit to the left of the decimal place. So that means we need to move it, and that's going to change our exponent. We can't just change it to 1.3 times 10 to the minus 5. That has a different value. We have to change it to 1.302 and then change the exponent. We're moving the decimal place one place to the left, and so it becomes 1.302 times 10 to the minus 4. And if you don't see why it changed from minus 5 to minus 4, you can simply write out the values. You can see 0.00001302, and that gives us our 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the same value, but we need to have one less digit to the left of the decimal place. So if I look at this to turn it back into scientific notation, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. For division, it's a very similar process, but we need to be very careful because this is where most students get in trouble with entering numbers in their calculator in scientific notation, and they don't enter it correctly, and then they get a really wrong answer. So when you're doing the math, if you're doing it manually, okay, you're going to take 4.2 divided by 3.1, and you get 1.35, and I've rounded that value. Okay. And I'm going to actually round that to 1.4 because we only have 2 digits in our numbers there. Then I'm going to subtract the exponent. So the exponent in the numerator minus the exponent in the denominator. So minus 2 minus a negative 3, which gives us a plus 1. So now my value is 1.4 times 10 to the first. And we can leave that in scientific notation, perfectly fine answer, or we can rewrite it in standard notation because we don't have a lot of zeros in there. So we can just say 14. But this is where it is absolutely essential that you put this into your calculator correctly. What is the result of this calculation? Now it's an opportunity for you to try a calculation, specifically a division, with your calculator using scientific notation. And so the best thing you can do is use the calculator that you'll use on the exam so you can learn how to do it. If you don't have that with you right now, that's okay. Write the problem down and the answer down. And when you get to your calculator that you'll have on the exam, try it again and make sure you get to this answer. Because obviously the answer is A, because that's the only answer that's there. But I want to make sure you can get that answer on your calculator. So making sure you're using those scientific notation features built into the calculator, like the EE button, and then you don't have to use parentheses in there. There are some models that do not have the EE button, and so if you have one of those, please ask for help. But practice using scientific notation with your calculator that you'll use on the exam.